We back live, man.
Cool.
So
Alright.
we'll let it run until we get some more people in here.
No doubt.
We're gonna play some music real quick and then wait till everybody get back in.
Alright.
You know, everybody mad at me. I can't help the internet, but we back. So
Technical difficulties.
hey, sometimes it happens. It's hey, everybody on the internet right now is Christmas Eve. So we give it a couple more minutes, let everybody get back in here.
Right.
And then once we do that, we good. We got 4 people that jumped in real quick. That's a good thing. Hit 1 in the chat if y'all see if the internet connection is good. I know it went down for a second, so I had to reboot some things. Hit 1 in the chat, and we're gonna get back started. Right here on YouTube, Stack 44. Getting that internet back up. Mute your phone, Mike, real quick. I hear your background a little bit.
No doubt.
We're going to jump in about a minute. I'll call for you, Mike, when I'm ready. Just make sure everybody can hear me. All right, thanks, Mike. You back in. What's up, Tom? Make sure everybody know we back in. The internet went down, but we back up, so we good. So, yeah, we got 4 people in the building. All right. All right, so we're going to jump back into it. You ready, Mike?
I'm ready.
All right, so yeah, we was talking about relationships being deal or no deal with the thin line. So, you know, a lot of times when you get in a relationship, you don't really see the deal breakers that a person may have. So we're going to go over the deal breakers one more time, and then we're going to jump into the thin line of a relationship with you. You know, what happens when you in a relationship after the person take off their mask, that person that have the representative, shit like that. So the first thing on a break relationship that you can't see the deal or no deal is their spirituality. A lot of times when a person is not matching the spiritual realm that you used to as a man or a woman, it will mess up the connection from the beginning. And usually that's a deal breaker. Now, how you feel about that, Mike? We're going to go over it one more time for the audience that didn't hear you before about the spirituality, the spiritual connection when you first meet a person.
Man, if her spirituality and incline with mine, man, I don't even want to waste my time. Because if her shit is broken or she's overly aggressive and not in her feminine frame, what I mean by not in her feminine frame, she's acting overly masculine. So, you know, 2 places can't exist. I'm already masculine, and if a chick is not in her feminine frame, then I have no place there. So she has to be spiritually, you know, on the same level as me. And if it doesn't match up, then it cannot work. It won't work. It's just one of those things you just gotta, you know what I'm saying, say peace out to and fucking move on.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta go ahead and just be like, cut your losses. A lot of times we got to realize that we got to cut our losses in life. And we talked about that yesterday, your wins and your losses in your life. And sometimes your losses is really not losses. It's just lessons to just not deal with that type of stuff again. So sometimes definitely should be a boundary, your spirituality, because sometimes people try to make people take them to the water, but they ain't gonna drink. You know what I mean? So you can't force a person to be spiritual with you. All right, number 2 was sex life. A lot of times people have a different sexual appetite or a way over, like not a good sexual, well, a low sexual vibration or a high sexual vibration. Your sexual appetite, your sexual drive has to match, because I believe sex is the heartbeat of a relationship. It has to complement each other, fulfill each other, and a lot of times you don't know that until you have sex with a person. Do y'all even match sexually? How you feel about that, Mike?
Yeah, it's a serious thing to even deal with, because if you know that individual ain't right for you on, other levels where you're good at and she's not good at, she could either be overly, which can be okay at times, but if she's under the bar of what you would like to have as a woman or even as an individual, of what you and her actually share or go through sexually too, and just in all aspects. If she's not up to that level with you, you're gonna start looking in other places, because then it's not gonna feel right. There it is, you want what you want, but she doesn't want what you want, or she wants less. And that's like the killer of the party. It just fucks up everything. It sets everything to be off balance. You do better just leaving it alone, like you said, cut your losses and move on. Then find somebody that's right for you.
Yeah, because you don't want nobody that is going to complicate you. You want somebody that's going to complement you. So you definitely want to be with somebody that basically you guys see the same end with your cooperation. So make sure you jumping on that situation, somebody that you basically can build with emotionally, physically, and financially and sexually. So you would definitely want to be with somebody that everything's on the same level. All right. So number three was a deal breaker that you can't see about a person was the addictions. People have addictions. People have attention addictions. People have shopping addictions, drug addiction, alcoholism, a lot of things that you can't see about a person that they need addiction. Some people need hella validation. And how you feel about people with the hidden addictions that you don't know about that are deal breakers? Because I know if I deal with somebody that can't hold on to their money, or got a gambling addiction or alcohol, that's not gonna go right with my energy, because I'm not addicted to things like that. So how you feel about that, Mike?
Honestly, if they're addicted to everything else and they have a really, really bad addiction and they're just doing everything, out of the willy-nilly, like you said before, people that have a very, very bad addiction and, they go ahead, they get into that trendy shit, they be, just doing everything out of the way, and it's running into your shit of what you got going on. That's going to complicate your lives rather than complement it. So in a situation like that, like I had a chick, honestly, that didn't know how to balance her finances. Like, she was just spending money. And the thing is, I'm like, okay, you're complaining about where you're at, but yet you'll take days off from work. You don't want to work on the holidays to make that money. And at the same time, you're always complaining about being broke. But you're the main cause of why you're being broke. You don't know how to save a dime. And then, certain people that have other addictions like drugs and shit like that, that's something that they got to deal with on their own. You can only give them advice for so much. But once it gets to a point where it's becoming too much to bear, you got to cut them off. It's the only way.
Facts. You got to cut people off that don't want to change. Change don't happen unless you want to change. And a lot of times people don't want to change. So that's a deal breaker, because change, every day you should maintenance your life. Every day you should work on you and change you for you. So a drug addiction, attention addiction, whatever, shopping addiction, wherever it is, a person has to be real with themselves before they can even expand to be with somebody else and realize who wants to take on my baggage of my addiction when I can control it myself. Because on my channel, I tell people you versus you. So if you join in from the other stream, we're on YouTube, Stack 44. We're taking calls tonight. You want to call in and talk about relationships with the deal or no deal, or a thin line between relationships, or your experience with being in a bad relationship, call on in. I know it's Christmas Eve, and I appreciate you guys for coming in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and check me out. Stack 44. Go to that on YouTube if you're not already here, and you can subscribe to the channel and call in tonight and give your 2 cents in on how you feel about relationships. All right, moving on to number 4 on the deal breaker list is family issues. A lot of times people have family issues that they don't work on, and eventually over time they have daddy issues, mommy issues, and they don't get over that. So when they want to move on to a relationship, they're not even in tune with themselves to even have a relationship, because they don't even see the blueprint of having a good family structure in the first place. A lot of times people have family issues and they don't want to admit to it. And sometimes family issues will like motivate you to have a real family for yourself. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing totally, but it has to be recognized and it has to be dealt with in some type of way. So how you feel about that, Mike?
Man, that's a very, very good topic, because of the fact that, in order for you to better yourself, you have to look at the rules of engagement. And furthermore, do you have room for improvement? Some people realize this and grow up early. Some people realize this late and then don't grow up at all. I went through a certain situation where one of my ex-girlfriends, she had this thing where she was constantly listening to her mother, but her mother didn't have the best intentions of being there with her. So this inclination really had me thinking, okay, this individual has not grown. So even if I was to be out of a relationship with them, that would be a better deal for me, because this individual obviously doesn't want to grow up. They still want to be up under mommy, and mommy hasn't cut her apron strings. So everything that she's telling her will be based off of what she wants her to do. And with that being said, that shows me that she's not a grown up enough woman to accept accountability and to make moves on her own, to show me as a man that she's ready to be in a full-fledged relationship rather than being under somebody else's control, aka mommy. So yeah, you're right. Sometimes the family does have an influence on that, and depending on how they want to be or how they carry themselves will ultimately determine whether they actually are ready for a relationship or not.
Facts. Family issues can be a stumbling block of you finding a good relationship or connecting with a person. All right, number 5 on a deal breaker list for a relationship is financials. The finances. At the end of the day, a lot of times I don't think people want to. Well, women don't want to hear this, but women are the biggest consumers of debt or college debt or credit card, because they're so used to shopping and stuff. But most of the time, that is a deal breaker in a relationship. I know when I was married, that finances was an issue. Usually, you look into statistic wise, finances is an issue on both parts most of the time. I mean, it could be both parts too. So finances and being financially stable could be a deal breaker, or dealing with a person that don't have their finances together can actually hurt the relationship. So, hey, China, what's going on? China in the building, y'all. China White, y'all go subscribe to China. She in the building, you know what I'm saying? But definitely finances can be a deal or no deal in a relationship, or something you can't see about a person, because they can be swimming in debt, but they look like they got it all. They got this car, they got this nice ass apartment, but you don't know if they might be making 75K to 100K a year, but they might be $120,000 in debt of student loans and credit cards. How you feel about that, Mike? I don't think we lost Mike. I don't know. Mike, you heard me?
Hold on. Keep going, because I got a lot of noise around me. Keep going.
All right, that's cool. All right. So yeah, the financial thing is a big key of dealing with anybody. You want to deal with somebody that's equally yoked as you, that's on the same level with the finances and thinking forward to build something. A lot of times people talk about building, but they don't have nothing to build already. You got to have a foundation that set for yourself and deal with somebody that's going to complement your foundation, not complicate your foundation. And if you have finances going in a certain way, you don't want to deal with a headache of somebody coming in, you accepting them as a man or a woman, and they're not on the same level as you when it comes to finances and leadership. So
I'm back. Yeah, but you're right about that. Like, think about it. Okay, you can have all your finances set straight.
Yeah.
And you get an individual that's not too savvy when it comes down to finances, and that's another deal breaker when it comes down to relationships. Because if you're already financially set and stable, you want to progress. But you get that one wrong person, you get that one wrong individual that's either irresponsible or not a part of your program when it comes down to handling finances, and you will be in very deep financial troubles. I mean, we talking about losing shit, and that'll get to a point where you'll start to dislike that person. You won't have nothing to deal with them because every time you're turning around, you're taking a loss. It may not seem, important to them because they don't have anything to lose because they don't have anything. But on the other hand, if I know I have a company, I got a set of cars, and it doesn't even have to be the materialistic things. Maybe you want to leave something to your future generation. You can't do that because now the person done took that away from you. So that becomes an issue.
Yeah, that becomes a huge issue in all relationships is how do you guys handle the finances? So to go over the list one more time, the first thing that a deal breaker you can't see about a relationship is a person's spiritual connection when you first meet them. You can't see that. You don't know if their spiritual's there. The second thing you can see is their sex life. Is their sex life sex is the heartbeat of a relationship, but do y'all sexuality meet and match to keep the relationship going? Number 3 is family addictions. A lot of times people have a lot of addictions today. So addictions can make or break a relationship. It could be sexual addiction. It could be shopping addiction. It could be all kind of addictions. Attention addiction, that's a big one today. What's on Instagram and Facebook, that can make or break your relationship any day. Family issues is a big one because a lot of times people are go off a blueprint. If their family was not in the right space, then eventually that's going to hurt because they're not going to know how to build a legacy and continue a legacy if they haven't seen it. Or sometimes they motivate when they haven't had a family life, they want a family life. So that's a good thing too. It could be something that could motivate a person. And last but not least, the deal breaker is the financial security or being finances. Finances, it could be a big deal breaker these days because some people fake it until they make it. Sometimes they fake it until they get with you and hope you be the savior. So make sure woman or man or woman, you're not going to be the savior for somebody's financial undisciplined ways. So make sure you on top of your finances when you're dealing with somebody. And I know you don't really want to go in and be vague and ask for a person's credit score, but sometimes you damn near got to at some point. But at some point it does happen. Like if you talking about being engaged or moving in, you need to know what they're doing with their finances. I know it's a very personal question, but I mean, because something could look like it's okay, but it might not be okay. So that's the sad part about finances and a deal breaker or something you can't see, because sometimes people look like they got their shit together, but they really don't. They're swimming in debt. So that's the 5 of deal breakers. So now, Mike, we're going to move on to the thin line. between a thin line between basically relationships, because it's always a thin line, even when you get with a person and y'all on the same level. I mean, y'all together and everything. Sometimes it's a thin line that you cross a line, then before you know it, you be the enemy in your own relationship. And the first thing I want to say with that is dealing with somebody that's not really on the same level. That's when the representative and the mask come off. When a person actually commits to a person and then they can't hold up that damn lie for so long, you actually find out that they're really not even on your level. And most of the time you don't find that out until you're in a relationship. How you feel about that, Mike?
Man, that's real shit, man. I count on countless times, like I had mentioned from before, when I seen this bum on the street and he was sitting there, man, he didn't have nothing. I mean, like, he was down. I mean, seriously down. So I gave him whatever money I had in my pocket. You know what I mean? Hoping somebody does the same for me in the next life. If I have a full flat on my face, we all been there. But the person that I was dealing with at the time, she had high hope, champagne wishes, and caviar dreams and shit, telling me not to give him the bum dude that was sitting there nothing. She said, don't give him nothing. What are you doing, Michael? You're just giving him everything. I said, no. That man, he's down. You know, have some respect. You know, there are people that are less fortunate that deserve that. But she wasn't showing me that. She made it believe like she was some kind of sweet angel. You know, that no
sweet little angel, huh?
Wrong. Yeah, like sweet angel. She could do no wrong. She wouldn't harm a fly. But the bitch was evil.
Damn.
Like, just saying it out front, the bitch was evil. She was evil. She had no mercy on anyone. She was basically, of the biblical proportions, a disenfranchised Jezebel.
Wow.
I don't want no parts of it. After that mask came off, I fucking backed away. I disappeared, bro. I became the black version of Where's Waldo.
Damn.
That's how bad I cut her off.
Damn. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're on the same level with somebody. Even if you're finessing or pretending to, or whatever you're doing, pumping and dumping, finessing, like, really just be honest with people. We're going to get into that in a minute, but we're going to get into that in a second. But that is I feel like that's number 5 on that list of the thin line between a relationship. Number 4 is jealous of a person's attention. Like, a lot of times I've been in this situation when I dated women that was pretty much, they loved what I brought to the table physically and being around them, but they couldn't handle it when I walked in the room with them because other women were still looking. So it's like they basically was like jealous of the attention that I drew, knowing that I had options. And a lot of times you don't want to deal with an unconfident woman or an unconfident man. And a lot of times it's a thin line in your relationship, because the same thing that drew you in as the man or a woman can draw you away in a relationship. Because when a person see the jealousy that you're bringing, then they ain't gonna want to be involved with you. A lot of times this happens in relationships, that a woman will draw herself in and like the guy, knowing that he's a select guy, and then realize that he has options, and then she'll be insecure about knowing that he can just pick a new woman any day, or vice versa. A man will be telling a woman what she should be wearing and what she should be doing and all that extra stuff. So what you got to add on that, Mike? A jealous attention, that's a thin line in a relationship. If Mike's there. So I'm giving Mike a second.
Okay, bro, keep going. I'm here, keep going.
Nah, you ready to answer, or are you gonna jump it in?
Let me run that back again.
All right, now I was saying a lot of times the same thing that draw you in with a person, because jealous attention is the next topic. A lot of times people have jealous attention when you're in a relationship. So a lot of times women will be, well, men or women, they'll the same thing that draw you in with the attraction, they get jealous of the attraction that you bring to the table. So at the end of the day, a woman that have a man that's select, it drew her in, but at the same time, she want him to be a certain way. Now, it's different if a man out there showing his ass, but at the same time, I've been with women when I just stayed the same, but they couldn't handle when we go somewhere that other women are looking, which to me was crazy as hell because they should be more turned on that I'm with a guy that's select and he chose me compared to not being turned on. How you feel about that, Mike?
I mean, if she's got a lot going on and she's getting jealous of the attention that you're getting rather than accepting you for who you are, then you know at any point she could pretty much off you and get away with it because she feels like, you know, she's become top bitch. But you got to leave that alone. That inside jealousy is basically rules of engagement, speaking with the enemy. You don't need that.
Now, men do this too. Now. A lot of guys would get with a woman knowing that she's a nice looking woman, and then they will eventually sabotage or try to sabotage her to dress a certain way because he can't handle the attention. How you feel about the jealous man?
I mean, a jealous man, being jealous of a woman, that's kind of like female tendencies, man. Like, if he's a man if he's I wouldn't even say a man, he's a, how should I say, like a mangina, and he's got female tendencies and shit. That goes to show that he's not grown. He's not grown and he's not a man. He should just be left there to fucking die off. Like, he should emasculate himself. If he's getting jealous of his own woman, if anything, he should be proud of his woman and, you know what I'm saying, have his woman work for him as he would work for his woman. But for a chick to turn around and put a dude on a like that, kind of put him in that kind of way, he doesn't need to be with any chicks, man. He just needs to be by himself. He needs to grow up. Yeah,
because that's a thin line. That's a thin line. People don't realize that people actually love the fuck out of you, but then they don't love when other people give you the same attention or give the attention. So that's definitely a thin line. I'm gonna move on to number 3. You good with that one? So number 3 is when a person is with you, but they hate the attention your family and your friends give you. A lot of times this happens because a person will say, I love you on the strength of what you bring to them, not that the fact that your family, your friends, the people that's around you made you, shape you who you are as a woman or a man. And a lot of times, women or man or whatever it is may be selfish towards the love they have for you, because if you're not having fun if you're having fun outside of her or him and you go on with your friends or your family to do things, a lot of times women will be hating or men will be hating because they want to be the center of attention. So at the end of the day, a lot of times, some people want to compete with your outside life instead of just realizing that this is his release, his family, his friends or her friends or whatever. A lot of times people are in these relationships, and as soon as they do something outside of each other, they throw a rift in the attention that they may be getting from their family and their friends. How do you feel about that, Mike? Have you ever dated a woman when you went off with your family or your friends that was jealous as hell when you got back home?
Hell yeah. I had one chick that was mad at me because I used to go to the street races just to watch other people, you know, race their cars and shit. But I could tell by her demeanor she wasn't for me, because anytime it's a family event and I invite you and you don't want to go and you got some outlandish shit to say, that goes to show me that, for one, you don't respect me, 2, you don't respect my family, and 3, you don't respect anything that I do. And for a person that's right there, basically you sleeping with the enemy, like you're sleeping with a snake. And then, you know, not before long, you wait long enough, it's going to fight you. I even got mad at a chick when I was down. I didn't have no job, no nothing. Once I got into my career as an engineer and shit, I started seeing all the sideline hate. Then the cheating came along. Then I was just like, yo, fuck it, let me just get the fuck up out of here. All because of me being successful. That's some shit. I want everybody to learn from that. You got to watch who you really dealing with. Because at any time, snap, they might turn on you. You got to know who you really dealing with at the end of the day.
Yeah, you do gotta watch who you dealing with because you never know. Uh, you know that people are, that people are very selfish. Relationships are not for the weak, selfish, or insecure. And a lot of times, people are weak, selfish, and insecure. So, uh, you know, a lot of times when people are weak, selfish, and insecure, they only see it the way they want to see it. The weak part is they don't want to say nothing. They don't want to tell you how they fucking feel. The selfish part, they want to hold you to their self. And the insecure part is they scared that somebody's going to take you away from them. So relationships are not for the weak, selfish, and insecure. And that's another thing that we don't really talk about or think about when we dealing with people. So, all right. So the next thing is uh, growing apart without communication, and I just pretty much summed that up. Because a lot of times the person you was when you was 26, maybe when you started a relationship and you've been in a relationship for 8 years, now you're 34. Things change. Things change over your age, and you grow as a person, but you're growing in that relationship. So things need to be communicated with your growth while you with a woman or with a man. And if you don't communicate that, you become your own monster and you create your own monster, and then you'll start hating because you're going here and she's going there, and it becomes a thin line between love this person when you was 26, 27, but now you're 29 to 30 to 31. Now you're a different person without communicating the growth that you want to grow with this person, and then it ends up being that y'all end up being two different people, and then y'all start hating each other, and that causes a thin line. How do you feel about that, Mike?
Man, that's some real shit. As you get older, you at least think you mature. But some people, they might be stuck in the same place in that same rift where they admired you. Just like now, just basically what you said. Like, you could be stuck in one place and you're progressing into being a better person, providing that you're working on yourself and you're self-improving. But if you're not improving on yourself and you're still stuck, where you're at, and they appreciate you more while you were down, but then when you come up, then they hate you, then that says a lot about that individual or how they really felt. They liked you better when you were down rather than you coming up. It's crazy.
Yeah, that part is very crazy that sometimes people will like literally grow or be with each other for so long but don't have no growth. They just stay stuck and stagnant on the honeymoon stage, and one person's still in the honeymoon stage while the other person is trying to grow, build, but they're not communicating. Like I did a relate. Hold on, we got a call coming in. I just asked somebody to call in. Let's see who it is. Hello?
Online.
Yeah, go ahead and mute your YouTube in the background because it's gonna be a lag, but we're here. You're on live though. What's your name again?
My name's Unique, but then if I mute it, I can't really hear.
You can hear us. That's all that matters, right?
Right, you're right. My bad. Right.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, because you're gonna hear a lag on it. So how do you feel about the topic tonight? I know you had some things in the comment that you said.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess my thought process on kind of what's being said is just I don't know. It depends on both sides because that's one of the reasons why I'm like hesitant on dating is because of you have to get to know a person. Like if you can't build a friendship first, you're starting off of a faulty foundation. And I think now people are so in a rush to have like a relationship. You miss those things that will let you know if this is the type of thing the person you're dealing with is meant for you. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like things happen for a reason,
Yeah.
and we go through situations to learn through processes. And it's like if you ignore that you're meeting someone that you're looking to in your life with, and you don't pay attention to the different skills or the qualities that you're looking for within a person, it's kind of like it would be your fault. Like if I'm dating somebody and I'm looking for these different types of qualities and stuff, whether it's trust, mutual trust, mutual respect, all these different things. But then either I'm not showing that, or the person that I'm talking to is showing me signs that they're not on that level, and I choose to move forward into a relationship. I kind of did that to myself. And then, I don't know, just, I guess I think they were talking about,
So
I'm sorry.
no, it's cool. So you believe in carrying boundaries when you're in a relationship,
Well,
about.
I don't know, because when you say that, of course there's boundaries, but when you're in a relationship, it's a completely different ballgame. Relationships to me are a little different.
Yeah.
And I think that's why most relationships don't work out. Because when you choose to be in a relationship, you're choosing to be in a partnership. You're thinking of that person the way you think of yourself. And that person should be thinking of you the way that they think for themselves. And if you're not on that sort of level, then everything else will fall apart. So, like, I know one of the things he was talking about was if you go into a room and, you're getting attention. Well, first off, me knowing the person that I'm dating, I wouldn't care, who looks says, because I'm going to be getting looks too, but it's the level of respect that we would have for each other where that wouldn't even be an issue to begin with. And if you're dealing with somebody that you notice that every time you go into a room, they're worried about who's smiling at you or who's looking at you, but you also got to keep, like for instance, if I'm looking nice and I'm with my dude, and we're in a place and somebody comes past a looking, and comes to say something to me, I know how to handle that situation. If someone's looking at me, then in our reality, I'm not sitting there looking back like, oh, well, thank you, or just drawing in on the attention. Because for one, I'm not going to put those vibes towards my dude. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not where my focus should be. So it's I don't know. For me, I can't push in a direction of saying that, a person shouldn't feel this way when they're in the room. But at the same time, I can, because it's a way that y'all should have a relationship set down to where, in the understanding of each other, that all of that is irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm I could be in a job, where I meet all types of different people, celebrities, who knows who. And if my person is sitting there worried about who's looking at me while I'm handling this, that's not a healthy relationship. Period.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just, I don't know. It takes part of knowing who you with and taking that time to get to know each other. Like these days,
nobody has time.
Nobody's really willing to sit back and learn somebody. Like, how can you say you like me if you're not willing to learn me? How can I say I like you if I'm not willing to learn you? What do I like about you? Because for me, a person can have $1 million and you flash him. Like, I know all women ain't like that, but this is like my thought process. You can have $1 million. You can dress, smell amazing, and you got tons of women out there you can choose from. Am I another number, or am I something to you? And that goes vice versa. And when you have that established, you don't have to worry about all the other bull crap. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah. I'll pause that for a second. If you want to get in, if you're on the other stream, go to Stack 44 on YouTube. The number is in the chat, and you can call in and add, or jump into the box in here. You can add, but I would rather for you to call into YouTube. Go to Stack 44 YouTube and then call in from there, sweetheart, if you want to join the conversation, because we got multiple people on the phone. Now, you ain't got to get off. I'm just letting somebody know if they want to join in on it. But the
other thing too is, like, I wouldn't be able to follow the conversation if I can't turn it on here. Like, that's why I'm like, well, wait, I don't know what they're talking about.
He's the guy. The other guy, he's still on the phone with us right now, so you can hear everything. You just. Yeah, you good. So, Mike, you got anything to add? What she was saying?
Man, she's absolutely right, and it's crazy because how old are you, sweetheart?
I'm very young.
No,
she sounds very young.
35? Okay, 35. Look at this, fact. She's 35 and she's actually still worried about dating. And that's a really big concern in this world when you're dealing with people in relationships. I admire this individual because of the fact that she's actually aware of what the fuck is going on, because not a lot of people are even aware of that. And when you're teaching and when you're preaching on here right now, goes to show you on both male and female, we need to be more aware of the people who we're dealing with. We have to be a little bit more judgmental, a little bit more conscious of our findings and dealings with other people that may not have the same interests as us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like tonight's show it's about the awareness of the deal breakers of a relationship and the thin line that happens when you in a relationship, of how people react when they're really pretty much, because everybody's been tricked by the representative. Do you agree? Everybody's been with a person that pulling that mask, and then you get in a relationship, you be like, damn, this person, that's who they really are,
Yeah.
So that's what more of this relationship's about. I mean, this live stream's about is, just the awareness of the deal breakers, of the deal or no deal when you're in a relationship, what I'm saying, stuff like that. But you're welcome to stay on. I mean, I'm gonna bring up some more topics as well, because I did 5 videos that's going into this live stream, and I talked about. Well, the last thing I was talking about was growing apart. Like the same person you was when you was 26, you're not that same person at 35 or whatever. And a lot of times when people are together that long, they have to communicate their change. They communicate what's going on when they're in a relationship. A lot of people talk about substance and consistency, but you have to be consistent with your communication with the person you deal with. If not, then you start to, you'll create your own monster, because you could be thinking one thing, he's thinking another thing, and then things change while you're growing together, then you actually growing apart. And that's a thin line that a lot of people don't realize that happens in relationships. Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree. I think in reality, if you in a relationship and you're not constantly communicating, you're not really in a relationship, because for me, relationships are building a foundation. And if you're not building a foundation together, maybe the correct label should be placed on what you actually are. Because to me, a relationship is past a friendship. You know what I mean? We're getting to know each other during a friendship. When we choose to be with each other, that's a different level of understanding, a different level of compassion, a different level of everything, because you are opening yourself basically to become one with person. I mean, it ain't got to go all the way to marriage, but when you're in a relationship, that you're putting effort into someone being happy in a relationship. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's hard for me to.
But moving forward, like, should women? Because women are the gatekeepers of sex. Men are the gatekeepers of marriage. Marriage doesn't happen unless a man wants it to happen. Sex doesn't happen unless a woman wants it to happen. Now, I know you said, I think women should know relationships about cooperation, working to the same end goal. Now, if you're a woman that want to be married and you dating a man and you don't give him that, if you don't give him that instruction manual, then what you expect? A lot of times women want to show themselves as a good woman and think they should be a wife, but they actually gotta come straight marriage minded and say, I'm marriage minded. If you don't want to deal with me, don't waste my time. A lot of times sometimes I know women, they don't come with that boundary right away. Is that a bad thing? Or, I mean, I know that to me is a bad thing. Why do women don't set that tone right away?
I don't know. I look at it, I feel like that's so in the future, unless you're already past those stages of really grounding in each other. Because for me, I want to know that eventually a person, would like to get married.
So you say that's not a requirement up front for you. It's to state that requirement.
I mean, I don't want to say it like that either, because I want to know. I guess I want to know what I'm dealing with, or what's your thought process. You know what I'm saying? What are you looking to move forward into? I don't want to put pressure on. We're thinking about marriage, but I want to know. For one, are you able to be with one woman? You know what I'm saying? Are we able to build a foundation where you go do you, I go do me, and I shouldn't have to worry about anything you're doing, and you shouldn't have to worry about anything I'm doing, and we grow together and learn together. Then eventually we're like, hey, we click together really good. Maybe we should go to the next level. I think. But that.
No, I don't want to cut you off. I'll let you finish. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna comment on that. I'm gonna go ahead and finish what you're saying.
You can go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, when you have that mentality of thinking like that, for me, I feel like that's a recipe that causes a situationship, because, man, we're illogical, and if a woman tells us up front what her requirements is, either we're going to deal with it or not. I know it could be a thing that could scare a man off, but I would rather scare a person off by being honest about what my end goal is, compared to, I mean, come to tell you how a man think, because a man gonna think like, if I got all this and I ain't have to do no commitment, then he's gonna stay stagnant, and he's gonna drag his feet into a relationship. And that's why a lot of times women be in a relationship for so long, and they realize why this dude is not committing, because he got everything without putting an investment down. So with that being said, what is your longest relationship?
My longest relationship was 8 years. But for me, I am. See, I don't know. I think differently than other people, because I've actually held myself back from relationships because I'm an analyzer. I like to know what I'm getting into. Of course, I want my end all be all to be happy, married, family, things to be going perfect. But I need to know that it's safe to go into that realm with the person that I'm thinking of going into that realm with. Or else for me, it's a waste of time. I don't, just like you said before, like in my reality, it takes like a year to really get to know somebody, because they got so many twists and turns.
Okay,
so how I am,
So with that being said, like 8 years, did you feel like the 8 years was a waste of time, or is something that you could have did different?
Well, all right, that's another type of thing. And again, I'm in a unique situation, because with that 8 years, when I met the person, I did basically do that. I wanted to know, right up front, what are your intentions? What do you plan on doing? Because in reality, how we met wasn't typically how I would meet somebody, and they weren't in the type of lifestyle that I'm about. So for me, I was like, what are your plans? What do you plan on doing? Because I need to know if this is something I can work towards. Now, we didn't necessarily talk about marriage, but it was having a sustainable relationship that I would be okay with.
So did you?
What we're developing here, our friendship.
So did you feel like you got too comfortable moving forward? That's why you stayed that long?
No, I think because those things that I needed occurred. That I think with my relationship, it worked out, but I knew in reality I can't be in a situation where I'm asking a person to be who they're not, or a person's asking me to be who I'm not. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think it's fair.
Okay, so being your age now, when you date, so after maybe a year, do you come with the requirements after a year, or do you feel like he should be able to come with the requirement to marry you? What?
I think it would be something that we would both feel, because I don't want to say like, oh, it takes a year. For me, I can tell. I just say that like in a statistical way, So, in reality, I would hope that I could meet a person that comes 100% like I do, where it's like I can vibe and know and have that discernment that, man, it's like you're real. I don't have to worry about what's coming around the corner, what secrets come out the closet. Like I don't live that type of life where someone meets me and like they have to worry about what they're going to find out about me. I've structured my life to be intentional about how I live. And I noticed that a lot of people aren't like that. So for me, dating, and again, it could be different from other people based off of their perspective or what they want out of a relationship. It's just harder because I realize even friends, they're not who you would think they are. And it takes those little things. Either you let those flags fly by and you don't catch them and realize, hey, this is adding up to that. Or you just, you don't, I don't know. It's just.
So,
yeah.
So what I'm saying in the long run, in a nutshell, if a man was like, all right, in 6 months, you come 100% of yourself, I come 100% of myself. I don't feel like I got time to waste. I say, let's get married. Would you do it?
I guess it would depend on the bond that those things would have to be like, stripped off my mind. I'd be like, okay, is this someone that I know that, like, as much as I would have their back, they would have my back?
I'm just saying, but I just laid that out, though. I just laid that out. If everything's...
Then I would be. If a person's actions speak louder than their words, then yes, I would be prepared to do that. But if I have to question, then we're not at that level.
Yeah, that's what I said. If I laid everything out and you feel like I'm 100% me, you're 100% you.
Of course.
Because if not, then I'm gonna be sitting here thinking like, damn, then she got commitment issues. Because,
Yeah, no. That would be 100% because you're showing me.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry. You're letting your actions speak for themselves.
So I got
in that situation.
I want to answer. Sorry, I want to answer somebody. She said 6 months is not enough. I need to know more every season. I believe in every season. But I'm going to tell you what, I come from a 7-month marriage. My parents got married 7 months after knowing each other. I know that was back in 1974, but they waited 5 years before they started having kids. They had my brother, then they had me in year 7. So I believe that time waits for no man. And if it feel right, then it's good. But I do believe in dating a person for at least 12 seasons. That means 3 years to see do they change during the years. But when I got married, I was married for 8 years. I did get married within 7 months and was married for 8 years. It just didn't work out because we grew apart with our communication. So sometimes whatever you do with relationships, it takes risks. A lot of times people don't want to admit that it does take risk because people live in their head. It's a lot of distractions in the world for you to know who a person really is. And 6 months in this day and age, I will agree now that is too early. But sometimes if that algorithm of you being who you are and that person is being who they are and everything's on the table and life is short, and 2020 has showed us that life is short. If you feel that way, that you guys on the same level, then come with it. But make sure that you guys are equally yoked, because if you're not equally yoked, you know that eventually when you're not equally yoked, that a person may have a motive to marry you anyway because you have more than them. And that's another thing. Like, you got to make sure you're on the same level. So that is a good question. I mean, that's a good comment. How you got anything to add on that, Mike?
Man, it's just like, okay, if I'm going to deal with somebody and, I know that they don't have like a serious crazy-ass motive to marrying them, sure, I wouldn't mind, but you're going to wait. You're going to wait. I'm going to see what you're about. I'm going to see what I have to build with you. I'm going to see what you have to bring to the table because I know what I have and I know what I can bring to the table. Is if that person is going to be as equally as yoked as me? Are they going to go through some shit with me? Are they going to go through and be there for the good times and the bad times, not for just the status, but not wanting to put the work in? You got to put the work in. There's rules to this shit when you fucking with a dude like me. If a chick ain't on her square, if she ain't on point, if she ain't rocking with me, or if she against me in any kind of way, you gone. I'm not going to fuck with you no more. Like, that's just the way that it is. Like, you could be in a situation where somebody could be coming out of both, whether it be legally or physically or anything like that. I want to know if you got my back. Because if I got yours and you don't got mine, what the fuck I'm in with you? Like, it's just point blank. I might as well just be by myself. But if she's going to show me those things and, no matter what I do, don't doubt me, because I know if a certain situation came up, I wouldn't be down with her. But if there's ever a doubt in between us, first I'm going to investigate it. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see the situation. Okay, maybe she's built differently. Let me try to see things from her standpoint. And if she still ain't moved, and I'm trying to show her, there's a reason why I did this, that, and the third, and she ain't on point, and she ain't lining up to what I'm trying to explain to her, then maybe it's best that we just go our own separate ways, because she's not seeing eye to eye with my eye, and I can't have that feeling of waiting for the knife to be in my back at the worst given time. You know what I'm saying? It's just straight like that. You don't want to have to think, okay, I got some shit coming because this person ain't agreeing with me. But if I'm supposed to be backing them, ain't they supposed to be backing me? I mean, there should be mutual respect there. But if it ain't there, then it's not going to end too well. And I say this being coming out of a 6-year relationship, and the individuals that I thought were with me, they wanted to get married, but I said, let's wait a little longer. Let's go through a couple of more of life's experiences and changes. And once I started to see things change and the communication was more openly available, I don't mind communicating with an individual that I'm in a relationship with. But if they're showing me one thing and they're telling me one thing and then they're turning around and doing another, then I'm going to start to have my doubts, because I'm like, yo, is this individual going to be on, you know what I'm saying, on my side? Or are they just going to be on the side? Right?
Facts.
You can't have those kind of doubts in the back of your head. So at that point, you just got to just say, okay, cool, I'm out. You know what I mean? I don't want no smoke with nobody else, having them think that I may be fucking them over, and I'm not. And I'm trying to do the best that I can as a man in my position of power to bring what I have to bring to the table. If they ain't thinking along the same lines as them, and, like, say, for example, you go to a car, right? You say, hey, you know what? This person's my host. This person's my guest, and I'm their host. I'm opening up the fucking door for them. And you close the door behind them. If they ain't reaching for, like fucking Bronx Hill, if they ain't reaching on the other side to help you unlock that fucking door and pulling up that shit, fucking leave them there. Don't deal with them. That's just the same thing as opening up the door. They're going to say, oh, yeah, you're going to open up the door for me every time. No, there's going to come a time where I'm going to test you. I'm going to let that door close in front of you. And if you ain't loving me back and you ain't saying, hey, why you let the door close in front of me? Well, I just wanted to see what you was going to say, because I know if the situation was on the other foot and I stayed back, I'm going to drop my keys on purpose. And I'm going to see if you're going to be right there holding that door for me by the time I let you go ahead. If you standing side by side with me, that's okay. That's cool. That means you waited there for me to see what the fuck's going on. You were concerned about me. Or if you go ahead and you holding that door open for me and you looking out for me to wonder where the fuck I'm at, okay, cool. But if you just walk into the store and you let the door slam and you in there, I'm going to leave your ass there. I'm going to leave you right there and keep it moving. I'm going to park my car somewhere else. You're going to be wondering, where the fuck did this go? Yeah, you bounced on me. So what happened? I bounced on you. That's right. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to just keep it like that, man. You want to do the test, do the test. Man, that's called the mic test. Go into the fucking Wawa's, act like you dropping keys and shit, let that person go, and see if they're going to open up that fucking door hold that door for you. Or wonder, yo, you all right?
You want to make sure somebody got their best interests while you dealing with them dating. So exactly. You're right about that. So I'm going to move on to another video. We'll talk about these topics too. The turn-ons that could be turn-offs in a relationship. I did that video about maybe 2 months ago. And the first turn-on that I feel like could be good in a relationship, but a person can use it against you. And usually these people that use the good things about yourself and they turn it around on your ass are narcissistic. So if you guys don't know what narcissistic people who they are or how they move, just basically listen up right now. But the first thing I feel like, when you being open and honest with people and they use their honesty to turn it against you, because that could be a turn on to a man or a woman, but a person that's a manipulative person or narcissistic will use your honesty against you. And I think everybody has experienced that. Unique, have you experienced when a person use your honesty against you?
You have to break that down a little bit more because for me, I don't think.
No, I'm just saying, like being open. I think you kind of already touched on it. Like if you just be open in the front, tell a man what you want, he will play that. He'll play that role. To be that the guy that you expect, and then eventually he'll get what he wants and run away. So I feel like when you open and honest about what you want as a man or a woman, you got people out there that know how to use your honesty against you, and I call them vultures that come in and just suck up your damn energy because you was open and honest in the first place. Just like my boy D Flynn always say, you gotta protect your energy. So open and honesty to me is a good thing, but you gotta remember, you gotta vet out who you giving that open honesty to.
Yeah, for me, I'm an observer. I try to analyze things. I probably analyze a little too deeply, but it kind of saves me from dealing with a whole bunch of bullcrap. So for me, I'm always going to be open and honest. But what I pray for and what I ask for is discernment. And for those who are not in accord with my growth and development or growth and development together, just be removed from around me, or don't even get to my, to my essence, like period, So, I've dealt with people like that though, but for me, because I analyze, I kind of pick up on those things, and I either choose to continue to deal with them if it's a past time for me, which usually I don't have time for it, or
Okay. What about you, Mike? Anybody take advantage of your open and honesty? If he's there, if not, we'll move on to the next thing. I might be muting a little bit.
No, I'm here. No, I was just listening. I had this one chick that she took advantage of my open honesty. I was open to her, and I told her, I said, yo, what's going on with you and shit. So I told her, I said, look, this is a situation that I'm dealing with. I want to know if you equally yoked as me. I need to know what you're going on, what you're going through, and I guess she basically took that and just ran with it and just said, I'm going to run this guy's reputation into the ground. Try to throw all kinds of smack about me. And I said, okay, good. It's good that I let her know who I am. That way, when I got honest with her, she let me know who she was off the jump, and I just stopped fucking with her. She was evil. And at that point, I said, okay, if she's that kind of individual, she's going to turn on me. And I don't need that in my circle. And I left her ass right there where she stressed at. You got to let them stress at. You got to let them rest at where they stress at. You know what I'm saying? Let them leave them right there. It's good that they show you who they at on Front Street, rather than you deal with them down the line and you develop something like, say, for example, all those years, you develop something, you work on something, you're in a relationship with someone, you gain advantage over time, and you learn the different people that you come across. Now, the individuals that I dealt with, as far as females, the ones that I came across, they said one thing or they did another. I've actually dealt with 2 narcissists, and I had kids by those narcissists, but they didn't tell me who they were until after I had kids with them. So I learned how to deal with them accordingly. Okay. When they go ahead and they say one thing and they do another, I observed them and I said, well, I know the bitch is lying. Let me go around over there and go around them and just do what I got to do within my best interest, because it's obvious that they don't have my best interest at heart. So you know how to deal with certain people accordingly. You may see them say one thing and do another. So you already know, okay, this is what the deal is. This is how I go about it. I know they can't be trusted. I know they're going to try to use anything that they can against me. And it's not out of fear. It's because that they fear you when you're a good person. A narcissist doesn't need a reason to do harm to you. They just do it.
Facts.
That's just the way it is. You got to learn how to accept that. But at the same time, you cannot allow them to brush your energy, your positive energy, your positive chi, into being negative like theirs. You have to keep that focus, that positive energy to yourself. Don't let them, broadside you with that. Don't let them do or say anything like that to affect you negatively. You just push on, and you develop that positive energy and you keep going forward. That's the best thing because that hurts them rather than even responding to them. You just do what you got to do and power on through. And, basically be yourself.
That's facts. That's facts. All right. Well, the number 2 thing a person will use against you, I feel like it's kind of close to being honest, but when you're very direct about what you want in your life, and it's kind of the same thing because they will, if you tell a person that I'm marriage minded as a man, I want a wife one day, and she's a thought, she might play the role as a wife or what's her name? Because sometimes women will play the role as what you cast them as a man. Because sometimes men, we are the casters, and they may be the actress. If you treat them, sometimes if you just be very direct and treat them like a one night stand, they might go that way. Or if you treat them like a wife, they go that way. You treat them like they go that way. So sometimes being very direct, a person can actually, use that against you and play a role that that you want them to play. And unfortunately, that's part of protecting your energy as well. So, I mean, we touched on that, so I'm gonna go past that one. Unless y'all got something to add on being direct, how it could backfire on you.
Man, you want to go first? You got to
let you go first. Brother Mike, go first.
All right. So check it. Like when you let them know already off the jump, it's either respect it or check it. If that person ain't hearing you out, you let them know, hey, listen, this is what I would like to happen. Like, how do you feel about that? And they answers ain't lining up. You already know you got a person that's not alone. You do a checkpoint. You say, hey, look, I want a long-term relationship. How do you feel about that? And they just say, hey, I'm not sure, but whatever happens, happens. They're not being direct with you. If they're saying whatever happens, happens, that means it may not necessarily happen. It may not necessarily be down for whatever. They're just out in the open. They're not being direct. They have to be on the same level as you and say, hey, I want a long-term relationship as well. That's being direct. Not just saying, well, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, when they say that, they like playing. You in the NFL, they college football. What I mean by that is NFL, you gotta get both feet in bounds, and you got both feet in. She in college football, you only need 1 foot in. So yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, if she
I know. Okay, so this is why I say that only because, like, I feel like you need to be direct, of course, but I still feel like it depends on when. If you're just meeting somebody, like for me, I don't want to give false hope, because in the time that we're getting to know each other, if I see these flags, and even though I let you know where I'm coming from, if I see these flags, I'm out. I'm not wasting my time. I'm not leading you on. I'm not doing none of that. Like I'm good. And that's why I think it's so important to really build a friendship first. I don't want to have, like, for instance, we getting to know each other, and then, I'm looking for a serious relationship. And like you said, looking out for those narcissistic people, they could be whoever I want them to be. You know what I mean? Just because I'm direct on what I want. And I'm always going to be direct, but I'm also looking at how they show up. You know what I mean? Because I'm being direct. I need you to be direct. But we need to know on this ground, like, maybe I should say it like this. I think when you need to admit, you need to maybe know the foundations of what you're working with. You know what I mean? Like, you want to know, okay, we're going towards a relationship, or, we're going to get to know each other. When I'm getting to know somebody, I'm not entertaining other people, because for me, if I turn out to really like this person, I don't need to have somebody else I got to go back to and be like, hey, sorry, it didn't work out, just because I'm that type of person. Other people may not give a damn. They could be talking to 50 different people, and now you got stalkers, you got all types of stuff going on because you weren't open to, what's going on. So for me, when I talk to somebody, that's the only person I can give my attention to. Now, if things are shaky or flaky, and then all of a sudden getting to know each other, things ain't working out, I'm gonna let it be known, and the person will feel that from my vibe anyway. Because I can't be fake about that. I can't smile in a person's face and then turn around and I'm like, oh, I can't stand them. This ain't going. No, you're gonna know something's up. You're gonna know something, because either I'm gonna talk about it, or if I can't talk about it, you're gonna ask me, because you're gonna notice a change in my demeanor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So it's like I agree with being upfront, you know, right away. Like, we're both looking for a relationship, but I also don't want to lead people on without really knowing them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to get to know you and know that's what I'm looking for. But I don't want you sitting here plotting on a marriage with me, and then as I'm getting to know you, I'm finding out all this crap about you, and you're setting wedding dates. You know, like, I don't know.
That's true.
You're right.
That's true. That's facts. I dealt with some shit like that from before, and through my experience, I had one chick that was my first baby mom's, right? And we was dealing with each other. I'm putting my experience out there. I don't give a fuck. Everybody can feel how they want to feel any kind of ways about it. I'm putting my shit out there because I'm a real nigga from the streets, you heard? Brooklyn. So this is what I did. I said, all right, you know, what's going on, shorty? What would you like out of a relationship? Before we got in there, we started dealing with each other. When we started dealing with each other, I said, okay, here's what it is. I'm going to be doing this as far as a job career. What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this. Okay, cool. All right, so who's moving where? Because I know that we have to go ahead and we're going to work with each other. Do you want to move to New York? Or do you want to, you know, move out of VA? Like, you know, which one you want to do? Or you want me to move out there, or, you know, vice versa? She said, well, I don't really want to move over there. Like, she gave me a reason not to. So I said, okay, I'm going to move over there. After a couple of steps, you really start to see who that person is when you're making all of the effort and they're making nothing but excuses. So then at that point, I flipped the script on her. I said, hey, she's like, marry me. I said, what for? You haven't really put in the effort that I would have liked. And if you're a woman and I'm a man, and we get into a community to be married to one another, we have to cooperate with one another. We have to give each other cooperation. Furthermore, we have to communicate without any sideline interference. I'm letting you know this is what we're going to be going through, because we're going to be by ourselves as a couple with nobody else interfering on our bullshit. That means we're adults. We're handling situations on our own as it comes along. This individual didn't see it that way. They wanted help from their mother. You know, I understand you get advice, but there's certain things that you want to not let happen in your relationship. You want to be able to deal things on your own, direct communication. And when she asked me to marry her, I told her no. I will never give her that honor, because she showed me the dishonesty that, you know, she will hold me in higher faith into being in a relationship with her in the long run, because I'm sacrificing, you're sacrificing, we're both making sacrifices to making shit work and happen. She did not see it that way. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. We all make mistakes. That's what it is. But for a person, for an individual to just do what they want and then claim that they want marriage, it's not going to happen. The most you'll probably get out of me is an offspring, because I have to have somebody carry the torch along. But now my focus is on the kids. My focus is no longer on them. And I see that they hate that. And I'm not speaking from a person that's hurt. I'm speaking from an individual that went through that experience. I've seen a lot of dudes get hemmed up in court, all that other shit. But in a relationship, you got to really know who you're dealing with. I just want to say, no, I don't want anybody to make the same mistakes that I did as a narcissist. But, you know, dealing with the narcissist, just dealing with them in general, it puts a lot of strain on you. You might go through a stroke, you might have a fucking heartache, you know, all kinds of shit. But you always want to make the best decisions just in case. You got to look at it in the long run. What am I going to do after it's over?
Facts.
Because life doesn't stop there. You have to keep going. Without the fact, you got to see yourself without this individual. Now, you may see them there, but depending on what they did, they could be literally dead to me on a talking level. I barely talk to them at all. As soon as I go through and I visit them, hey, where's the kids? Hey, I go around them, because at that point, it ain't about them no more. And they see that, and they hate it. But again, these are the times that we're living in, and this is what we have to go through, and we have to think of the consequences of what we deal with and who we deal with.
Facts. All right, well, moving on, Mike. We're gonna move on to the next thing that becomes a turn on that can become a turn off, and I think we kind of touched on it already. But I'm gonna use it's kind of what Unique just said about narcissistic people. You open up to them, but your look is on that list, on that video. It was your look was number 3. And I feel like your look, people can use that against you. We already talked about the attention and stuff like that. But the thing that I hear a lot is when I present myself as a single man to women is, why are you single? Or what did you do in your last relationship? Because to me, for me to hear that, what did I do? It makes it seems like you're intimidated of my look, or because you don't know me to say that to me, to just assume that I was the one that messed up because maybe my sexual market value may be higher than yours or higher than expected. And a lot of times I feel like a lot of times women block their own blessings when they say some stuff like that, because that's just like one time I was dating a lady and I opened doors and stuff like that. And she was like, I wonder how long that's gonna last. And I'm like, why would you say that? Like, I'm a new person in your life. I could be the dude that does the things that you want him to do, but you always thinking negative. So sometimes your look can trigger people, man or woman, of I deal with this type of sexual market value with this man or woman, and I know that you put them in the category as the last woman that looked to that level. If you dating an 8 as a man and you run into a new 8 and you had a bad experience with an 8, it's not fair for you to take the next woman that you consider as an 8 and put her in that box, or vice versa. If you dating somebody and she looks good, she's a 9 or 8 or whatever you have on your scale, because beauty is the eye of the beholder, and you tell her, why are you single? And she's narcissistic, she's going to be like, okay, you just put me on a pedestal, so I'm about to run my narcissistic game on your ass, or vice versa as a man. And a lot of times people don't.
Right. Look, so the only way that I feel like I'm going to put myself out there. So, all right. So if I see somebody and they're fine, right? Most fine people are taken. Okay. Now, I look at myself because I see myself as a fine individual, So, and I know why I'm single, because I'm single by choice. I don't follow the status quo on how things should be or when. I go off of, the vibes, and the people that I am surrounded by are on bullcrap. So I would rather be happy and content to myself than entertain bullcrap. So for me, like, I don't know, I really don't, because I've met some people who ain't really attractive, and they are the most amazing people. I've met people who are really attractive, and they are amazing people. I've met some people who are really attractive, and they're like scammers. I'm like, whoa, they use their looks in that sort of way as a narcissist, as a just weirdness. And I'm like,
you wonder how they got there, yo.
Yeah, so I don't know. I see it as a person showing up as who they are, and you just being able to have. I kind of lost it. Listen, y'all, don't judge.
No,
me.
you're just saying you seen people use their looks for gain, for gain of people, or just control of people.
Yeah, and I've seen people who are super attractive and they have no confidence. So for me, it's like you could be fine or hot, and it could be either way. And for me, it's like you have a level of it's more than just your appearance. You know what I'm saying? It has to be your full, what you embody all together. Like if you are walking around like your shit don't stink because you're super fine and you're probably going to attract people that ain't shit. Like I'm just saying, because that's kind of the vibe, But if you're like, it depends on. Oh no. You
are what you attract. So
yeah,
facts. But I'm just saying what you need to do when you. All I'll say with the look thing is when you deserve what you think you deserve as a man or a woman, never put a person on a pedestal, or never put a person that looks look surprisingly like you said, a man in your area might not be shit, but you might meet a man that's attractive, that's over attractive of what you used to, and is about something. And for me, when you meet a person like that, vice versa, a man meet a woman like that, don't question the blessing. Just a lot of times women shoot themselves in the foot when they meet a guy that got those attributes they want. Then they're sitting there questioning it right in front of them, and then that person feels that vibration as if you don't deserve this. Then why should I even commit to you or get to know you when you're not fully ready to take this blessing that I might be for you and you might be for me? That's the issue I have.
So what if a person asking you that question because you could be as fine as you want to be, but maybe your last relationship was because you was running around using your fineness on everybody that you see. So
but that's when a woman I gotta allow a man to, because people will tell you who they are. You don't have to go in and ask and say that. For a woman to come up to me and say, "Why are you single?" To me, that is an insecure trait, because you should be happy that I'm single, that me and you mesh, we both attracted to each other. Don't come in with the negativity as if that I'm going to cheat on you because the last guy that was an 8 or looked like me cheated on you. I might be different. I might treat you like a queen. So that's what I'm saying, that it becomes a turn off when a woman takes your look and feel like her value of your look is not equivalent to her look. You see what I'm saying? A lot of times, I don't think women think like that.
Yeah, so that.
Go ahead.
My bad.
That was just a little deeper. That was on a deeper level, just of the look piece. But what if somebody is innocently, like, not even trying to be disrespectful or nothing? And like, if I'm,
it's a way to ask, though. It's a way to ask, because
yeah, there is, exactly. Okay,
it's a way to ask, because everybody should be judged off their last relationship. The Carfax report doesn't lie. You gotta. For real. So you gotta be honest about your last relationship. That's gonna come up no matter what. Whenever you meet a woman or a man, the last relationship or the history of relationship gonna come up. That 8-year stint that you had with that man is gonna come up with every man you deal with until you say I do to the next man. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, then. So that right there should not be the first thing you say with to me in the first 30 seconds we meet. That's a turn off.
That should have killed a hard on for a woman in a minute. Like, yeah, I had a chick one time, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, damn, she look good and everything. We talking, we vibing and shit like that. And it was just some shit that she said. So she was like, so I wonder how many women you be laying up in the air. I'm like, what makes you say that? She said, well, I see that, you go to the gym, you work out, you got a lot of shit, you got that nice bachelor pad. I said, but then we just already discussed this. Like, you want to dive into how many girls I've been with? That sounds like an insecurity issue. Are you insecure? Like, I asked her that shit straight up. And she was just like, yeah, I am. I said, well, why are you that insecure? She said, well, I never met a guy like you before, like a guy that's really holding his shit down and, you're hitting the gym, you're making money, you're doing this, you're doing that. I say, yeah, but it's the kind of dating, like the dating of today. And by your insecurities, I don't even think I want to deal with you right now. Like, you just had me fucking on some fucking rock solid hard on to fucking flatulent as hell. Like a balloon that's lost all its air. Like, you just caused me to have a hard on for you, but then you killed it with her mouth, with the insecurity shit. Like, nobody wants to deal with the insecurities of getting to know one another. That's just like me coming off to you, like, unique, like say for instance, hey, I really like you, but everybody fucked around on me. Will you please take me? You're gonna be like, nah, hell no, weak nigga, sit down. You're gonna be like, nah, I don't want to deal with you. Like, you're too weak. You can't even fight for me and shit. Like, if a nigga came around and he put his arm around me, he said, yeah, I got your bitch, nigga, this is still your girl. And then I come, no, wait, please give her back. I'm be like, nah, nigga, give my bitch This my shit. You want to get killed? You want to die for it? Come on, let's go. But if a person is that weak and they come at you, that's on some weak shit. The insecurity shit, that's on some weak shit. Oh, I wonder how long that's gonna last. It makes it sound like I've been treated like shit before and don't have any expectancies of anything coming out of me because I ain't shit. And I ain't never gonna be shit. And just like that movie Juice, as soon as I figure you out, you ain't shit. Wow. So be it. Like it's a done deal.
I mean, he right, because like I said, anytime a woman or a man can't accept that they're on the same level that you're on, then they're already in a loser's mindset. So you got to be confident that God is going to send me this man, and he may look like something that I didn't think that qualified, or you just got to be confident within yourself, because when you show that insecurity, the man that may be for you may be like, you know what, just because another guy that looked like me fucked you over don't mean that's my intentions. So that is a turn on. The turn on is the attraction, but then as soon as you say the wrong thing out your mouth, could be a turn off on both sides, man or woman. So that's why I put that as number 3. Moving on to number 4 is being kind. Because sometimes when a man shows kindness, women think that's weakness, or vice versa. A woman shows kindness, a man look at a woman as a doormat. So a lot of times when people be kind to people run over people that's being kind. I always tell you guys, protect your energy. But if you know, like you at a woman's house and you're over there visiting, you take out the trash, that don't mean you're a bad guy. You just looking out. You being a stand-up guy. If she sees, just like Big Rich when he called in a couple weeks ago, if he see like something he could fix in her kitchen or around her house, and he go to his car, get a screwdriver and fix it, that's just being a guy that's being kind. But sometimes people will be turned on from your kindness, but then at the same time, they'll take your kindness as weakness, as when you'll start over like a woman, like say if a man want to look out for your gas or something like that, and then you will start purposely doing stuff. So I need this, I need that, because you know he's gonna look out. A lot of times people take it for granted of their blessings and don't count them.
Right.
So sometimes being kind hurts you in the long run. How you feel about that? Do y'all feel? Which one of you guys want to go first? We'll start with you, Nick.
I agree. I've experienced too much of people taking my kindness for weakness, which made me strengthen myself, because that I'm not going to stop being who I am, but I'm going to definitely stop a person from taking advantage. You know, I literally give you what I choose to give, you know, and if I see that it's either not appreciated, I don't need like if I do something for someone, I don't need like all these, like, I'm the type of person who don't like for people to know the things that I do, because for me, it's not for that, you know, like.
You're not trying to advertise to get a reaction.
I don't need, I do what I do for myself, but when I've had a lot of different people do that. You know, I've had jobs, I've had all types of stuff. Use either my work ethic or my kindness as a weakness, until I feel like, you know what, now it's a point where, you know, I'm no longer gonna show you this soft side of me. Now you're gonna see the side of me that don't take that, and that's what you get. You know, like.
That's facts. That's facts. What about you, Mike? Anybody use your kindness for your weakness?
I mean, at one point, I was pretty much a nice guy, but to be honest with you, I'm an asshole, but that's only if you fuck with me. But the only thing is, I try to keep everything fair and moderate. Like, I'm a cool dude. Don't get me wrong, but don't turn me into an asshole. I don't like being an asshole. I'm like kind of like the Incredible Hulk. You know, don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. Let's just be nice and keep the feeling mutual.
Facts. Facts. Ain't nothing. All right, moving on. This is the last one on this list, and we got 2 more to go over, and then we can close this out. But we'll this one right here is, sometimes people use your sexuality against you. I know, because sometimes it could be a turn on, because basically what I'm saying is if you can be very experienced in the bedroom, a woman or a man or vice versa, once they get into the good sexuality that you have, then they think about, wait a minute, who else was he pleasing with this deed? Or who else was she doing with this? Then a lot of times people use your sexual history to say, that thing you do with your mouth, did you do that to your baby mama? Did you do that to your baby daddy? And sometimes sometimes I'm telling you right now, it's a turn on, but it becomes a turn off when a person getting their feelings to realize that other people got that sexuality out of you as well in the past. And sometimes insecure people can't handle that. And I ain't saying all people, but insecure people can't handle that the acts that you may bring in the bedroom. And I've been stalked before, or a woman literally like, oh, you must have used to do that to your baby mama, and it became a turnoff. Like, damn, that's my past. This is my future dealing with you. Now you getting it. Why you worry about what she got in the past and you're the future? So have y'all experienced anybody that couldn't handle your sexuality that became a bad thing in the long run?
I think it's just too much. I think there's a lot of flags that probably would have came before that moment, and I probably would have been out because, dwelling on situations that have nothing to do with you. Like, I can understand if there's a purpose behind some of the conversations that dig into your past, but in reality, things like that, like your sexuality and stuff like that, for me, it's just like, that's too deep. Like that I will run. I don't need to be in a controlling type of a situation where someone's clocking every move I make, comparing it to air. Like, really? Like, who has time for that?
Yeah, because I'm just saying, sometimes your good sex can backfire on you, and that's the way it can backfire on you, because they'll start worrying about your sexual history and worry about who else got it.
I mean, another thing too is if they worried about too much about your sexual history, and you doing what you gotta do, you let them know. Hey, look, you want this to go somewhere else? Because if not, you let me know. If you're not insecure about it, then maybe you don't need it. Maybe you do. I've had chicks go like literally ape shit, and that's like, okay, you're worried about my sexual history, but do you really want me to put your shit out there? I'm sure when God runs the playback of that tape, when your life is over, and I go up there and I find out, I'm going to want to go straight to hell for seeing the shit that you did. And I told the chick like this, I said, you know what, honestly, if you're more concerned about what I'm doing now, I mean, what I did back then, and what I'm doing now, I'm sure we probably wouldn't want each other right now. Right. If that's the case, if we really took the time to say, I wonder what the sexual history is like, and like Stack said, let's pull out a Carfax. If anything, we pull out a Carfax or a vaginal report, to see what the fuck went through there. We ain't gonna like what we see, but that's the thing. We're dealing with each other based off of different experiences, but we have to learn to accept that that's in the past. Mm-hmm. Let's worry about moving forward.
I think that's just setting yourself up for failure that's like going through the dude's phone, or like doing all these different types of, it's too much. If you feel as though there are issues in your relationship, you need to address them. If you can't address them, then you're not in a relationship. As simple as that. I don't know any other way to put it. And the only thing I would be worried about of a person that I'm like sexually active with is like your status of cleanness, because that's what I want to keep. That's all I care about, Other than that, like, we're going to learn each other. We're going to, like, grow with each other. All that past dwelling on past relationships or past sexual acts like that, it's a waste of time and setting yourself up for a failed relationship. You're not even, I don't even know what that would be called. I don't know.
Facts. All right, moving on. I'm going to talk about the 5 things a man need to know about a woman before a full commitment. I'm going to go down the list, and y'all tell me what's more important or what you think that's a key point, because I think some of these things we already touched on. But the first thing I feel like a man will look, and I'm speaking from a man perspective, So it's good that Unique's on here so we can get the woman side of what a woman looks for. So I'm gonna say the 5 things I look for in a woman before I want a full commitment, like a full commitment. And it's broad, that's like down the line, but the 5 things that's important to me that's gonna make me whole with a woman. The first thing is she a God-fearing woman? Number 2 is can she show me the real her? Can I see her real hair? Can she take those lashes off? Can she be a real authentic with her beauty outside of the I won't say the other accessories, because it's nothing wrong with having accessories and stuff, but can you be the full look woman that I need you to be whenever? What you look like underneath if you do add accessories to you. Number 3 is you financially disciplined and is your finances in order. That makes me want to make a commitment, because if you're not committed with yourself, with your discipline financially, eventually things will go wrong. And unfortunately, when I was married, that was one of the things that went wrong with together, and we didn't match up. I ain't gonna say who didn't do what, but I'm gonna just say it didn't match up. So our finances wasn't together like we wanted to. So that was the main reason why we split. 4, a woman's childhood. Anytime you date anybody, I feel like your childhood is the difference between your adulthood, because if you have child trauma that you didn't touch on, it will affect you as a adult, a lady or a man when you get older. So your childhood is something that's very important, because it will affect your adulthood if you don't get I know people with happy childhoods that are happy people being adults. I know people that had bad childhood that are angry adults. So that's my opinion, but that's important to me because childhood makes a difference of who a person is moving forward. Number 5, how they look at their parents. A lot of times, if a person look at their parents in a good light, it's a good sign. But a lot of times, if they're down on their father, down on their mother, down on their family trauma, then if they know trauma, that's all they want to see. And sometimes if they have trauma, that can motivate them to get better. Because I know my father didn't have the greatest family life growing up, but he was motivated to change his family life and change the legacy, or change the what you want to call it. He wanted to change the tie of being in a good family background. So with that being said, that's my 5. What I look in a woman before a full commitment is I look at those 5 things. So Unique, what do you look in a man? Or do you agree with my list, or do you got something that you will add to what you look for in a man?
All right. So with your list, I agree. I think.
What's the main thing that you think that stood out for you though on my list?
I guess finances and childhood trouble. And I say that because I think it's, well, you gotta say, look, all right, so I got a lot of things that I work on, so I would have had to write it down to make sure I recall all 5 things.
I'll bring it up. The first one I said was God-fearing. God-fearing woman. The number 2 was her real look, like her real hair, real everything. Number 3, finances. Number 4 was childhood, and then number 5 was how she viewed her parents.
Okay, so God-fearing. I think that I agree with that 100%. I think that you have to have, if as a real person in reality, you have to have God in your life for you to set the foundations and for you to really be able to flow and be stable in life. When it comes to real looks, I can't speak on a statistical level of things because I'm like a natural person, so I look at people when they paint the whole face on it. And I'm like, geez, you know, like, you just created a whole nother person. You could be a whole different person every day of the week. Like, I can't, I don't know.
Well, we talking about you. Don't worry about everybody else. Let's talk about what you bring.
For me, I can't even have a lot of stuff on my face. So I like to be relaxed. I like to dress up when the time calls for it, but really I like to be me. I like to be like raw or authentic. I'm an earth sign. I'm natural. You know, that's what I vibe off of. It ain't nothing wrong with like speaking yourself up and nice and all those different things. You want to wear lashes, weave, whatever. Like I've worn weave before. I've worn lashes before. I put on a little makeup before, you know, but that's not like you have to be able to be comfortable in your own skin in reality, period. Like for somebody to and that's my opinion. That's why I don't know. Like,
we going off of your.
You know?
We just going off of your. We going off of my. That's my list, and then this is your list. This is when you had the comment session and people that comment on it because we want engagement from everybody. So don't worry about what people saying in the chat or just tell me what's important to you. That's what it's all about. Is to get a woman's perspective. So if you had to make a list, what are your 5 things, or can you even come up? What things are important to you? What you see in a man?
Well, God for one, because you know that's how we're gonna be able to like make it through anything. You know,
okay.
When it comes to look, I definitely want someone to be who I meet. You know what I mean? Be who I meet. I don't want to turn around and you snatching off a wig or gotta have your hair.
Hold on, y'all. I'm putting y'all on hold. I gotta be on hold. So if you actually need to respond, it's gonna be a little while. I gotta handle something. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. But no, like when it comes to a man, I would like them to be their authentic self too. I don't want to date someone that has a whole thing painted on their head. You know what I'm saying? Then next you know, you wake up and maybe you got like I want a person to be who they are. I want to fall in love with a person as who they are and not who they created themselves to be in when they're not that. When it comes to financial stability, and I don't know because I don't know how men feel about this, but I would like a man that can financially take care of me but don't need to. Because I've always been an independent woman. I don't even, and again, I don't have statistical answers because I think differently than a lot of females, but I'm not turned on by like a person buying me a bunch of stuff or just where that's our relationship, where it's just them telling me, or I don't even ask for things. I have an issue with asking a man to do something for me. And that's so, I don't know where it came from, but in life, I get things done myself. So I don't want, I guess, to have a situation where I'm in a relationship and someone's doing all these things for me and I have no foundation. If this relationship ends, and I'm not saying building my foundation off of them, I'm saying being a solid woman, being able to stand up on my own, you know, and if you have financial issues or whatever the situation is, if you're working on improving that, if that's what you are in the process of doing, then it already shows the strength that you have. If you don't have that and you're just frivolous with your money, you know, that can be a line of issue too. So for me, being financially stable is important, but I guess that's not like a deal breaker because I don't need anybody who has like a whole bunch of stuff. In reality, we can build together, you know, and if you're in it 100%, like I'm in it 100%, we can be millionaires, you know, and it's us. So for me, I guess it depends on how responsible they are when it comes to their finances, when it comes to men, because you could have went to school and have student loans, who knows, but you took the time to put in on your future, you know, and it is what it is. But if you're like irresponsible and stuff like that, then, you know, that has its own issues. And then when it comes to childhood, you know, I say again, I can't give a statistical answer because it could be true that a person who had a horrible childhood could be broken. But at the same time, we have a lot of different people in this world. Some are stronger than others. Some can handle situations differently. Yeah. Some in life, period, I see it as a lesson or a blessing. Uh-huh. So, for instance, and I'm going to just be real, my childhood was horrible. my childhood was stuff that people probably wouldn't have been able to make it through, or would have turned out being who knows what. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you got to be, if you're honest about your childhood, I don't see nothing wrong with that. That's not a deal breaker for me. A deal breaker for me is when your childhood is affecting your adulthood and you don't get help or be honest with yourself. So that's what I was saying for me. I never say if a person had a bad childhood, I wouldn't talk to them. I just feel like if you have online issues with your childhood and you don't get help or you don't work on knowing that it's affecting you as an adult, then it's a deal breaker for me, because I'm not about to be, I'll stand behind you, but if you don't want to do the work, then you basically just going to be wasting your time and mine, because
I agree with that 100%.
You can't play the victim in the world forever.
Exactly. And that's like a pet peeve of mine, because on a man's standpoint, if you got all these things that you're dealing with, I mean, we all have all types of issues, but men, you know, especially in society, they have it bad too, just like black women, you know. But a man, as being that foundation and that, you know, that strength to the household, is just, I feel like
you all right?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you just gotta.
Yeah, you just gotta be. At the end of the day, you gotta be real with where you are today.
Exactly.
Your past do not write your future, and that's the big thing about the childhood thing is where are you at now? What you did with.
Or like people that blame everybody else, you know, like if it's something that you did, you know, like there was one person I met, and he's like, he said his grandma is my grandma was so and so when I was 8, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you are like a whole grown ass man. How? And maybe I don't know if it's insensitive or whatever, you know, but to me that's like, grow up. Like, really? How are you stuck on and again, people deal with things in their own way. So I guess my way of dealing with things would be like cut dry. If you can change it, change it. If you can't, let that shit go, you know? It is what it is. Do better as you move forward, you know? But for me, it's like, if you, like you said, if your childhood trauma is affecting you to where you can't you can't solve it on the things that you still have control to touch and release what you don't, then, I mean, that is a deal breaker. Because I'd be like, I know I'm not looking to be in a relationship to grow a man. Like, I really don't want to, and I wouldn't want to be in a relationship where a man will have to grow a woman. Like, we grow together, we vibe off each other, we learn each other, and we adapt to each other. That's a relationship. I can't come with a whole list of all these things other than, like, trust, being faithful, you know what I mean, and just being compassionate, God-fearing, you know, those main things. If I can trust you, and you gotta be attracted to me. That's just me, and you don't have to be like, you ain't gotta be like a supermodel or nothing like that. But what I'm attracted to, I could be attracted to someone who's not attracted to other people. It's just what attracts me, and if you pique my interest and you pique my attraction, then it is what it is. And then I think the last one you were saying was respect for your parents, you know, or I feel like, you know, that is a must. It is a must. I also know that there's a lot of parents out here that ain't really parents, you know, but either way, and like I said, I've had a horrible childhood, but I still respect those that raised me. I still respect those, and I look at even the most challenging times as one of my traits, because it made me who I am today, and I'm pretty proud of who I am, regardless of what trauma I may have experienced, you know, and I had to go to that person who treated me in my life and let them know, you know, and that was my way of getting over that experience, you know, as a parent or as a guardian, I should say, letting that person know, you know, these things as an adult weren't correct, you know, they weren't right, but I know that I am who I am today because I experienced that. And even in the worst of ways, it's crazy, but, you know, I'm not going to hold any grudges. I just pray that you never have the chance to do that to anybody else, or that you learn your actions. You know, it's taking ownership of a situation. And then when it comes to how you respect your parents, that's just a given. That's your life. That's your creators other than God, you know? So for me, it's like my dad could be the worst of the worst, which I have a stepdad and a real dad. And, you know, like they could be the worst of people. But for me, because they're my fathers, I respect them, and I'm always going to be that encouragement to transition in whichever way you need to transition, if I can be, you know? I don't know. And respect is enough.
This is real shit. Like, I believe, honestly, and sorry to cut in, but I believe in any kind of, respect that's given to the parents or whatever, that's a good thing. But also, at the same time, out of respect for other people's relationships, as well as that person have a respect for the relationship itself as well. Because both parties have to have respect for one another, but they also have to have respect for the relationship, that bond that you have between one another, not to intervene in it unless it's life-threatening. You know, that's personally me. Because if there's always interference, it doesn't leave room for growth.
Brother Mike, I got a question for you. Because when you're talking, it made me think. So both of you actually. So with that, because I be thinking of, okay, you're in a relationship, and it's all well to have respect for your family and everything. But
right.
Is it wrong to feel like there should be a different level when it comes to your relationship that even your parents shouldn't be able to interfere with if you're in that like equally yoked relationship? Because I know, and just from my experience, just how I feel, I should say, I know I just asked y'all a question and just didn't want to answer it, but y'all can definitely answer. Okay, I just want to say something. But say for instance, if I'm in a relationship and maybe my mother doesn't like the person I'm dating.
Hold on real quick. All right, go ahead, Unique.
Okay, so like say for instance, my mother doesn't like the person I'm dating, and maybe the reasons they see are things, you know, that they nitpick that may not be who the person is, but just things that they could be on something else with how people statistically are. Oh, well, they might not be good for you, or they could do this, or they could do that, you know, the coulda, wouldas, or whatever. Or they just don't like the person. Maybe they feel like you could be with somebody better, you know? And then you get it to where maybe they could be saying things or just being disregard your significant other, you know? Is that how do y'all feel about stuff like that? That's what I want to know. What do y'all think about situations like that, and how a relationship should be? Should it be?
Well, I think
parents and stuff, or should it be separate?
All right. Big Rich just joined the line, but I'm gonna answer that first, and then I'll let Mike and Big Rich go. But I feel like if you're in an equally yoked relationship and you got things that go wrong, you should be able to work it out. But now if you're disconnected with a partner and you need somebody to talk to, you got to make sure you deal with family members or anybody that you deal with that comes in good faith. But if you know that they're going to always just take your side, then don't involve nobody to talk to about what's going on. That's how I feel. But at the end of the day, it's a touchy situation because you don't really want your family involved with your relationship because you know they're going to always side with you. And then when you get over it with your relationship, then they're going to look at your partner as if they're the enemy, and then you already got over it, and then now your family don't even accept them. So you got to watch how you allow your family members to know your business. But if you know you're dealing with a grandmother or a mother or a father that tells you what you're doing wrong when you're in a relationship and they see stuff and they already pointed out to you that you're fucking up as a man or a woman, then you could give them you could come to those people with the advice. But they always see that you can't do no wrong, then you don't need a cheering session to mess up your relationship. That's how I feel.
Exactly. Thank you. I agree with that.
What about you? I'm gonna let Rich jump in.
Hey, what's up, man? What's going on, y'all? I'm sorry I'm late, man. My brother got put in the hospital last week with that COVID-19, but he's doing better now.
All right, that's
good. They put him in a
good.
nursing home, and I was on a Zoom call with them when y'all started.
Okay.
But it looked like I came in at just the right time, man, because when I saw the title, I just wanted to chime in with not so much of a deal breaker, but just my insight on how I think that relationships are suffering nowadays, and not just on a woman's side or on a man's side, but on both. And I feel that there's a lot of that going along with what the young lady just pointed out, going along with what you pointed out, Stack, is that not only family members, but just people bringing other people outside influences into the relationship and making problems where there are no problems. You know, for instance, for example, I'm seeing something going on with my homeboy and his woman, but I bring that same energy and drama home to my woman when that stuff ain't even going on, and vice versa. I think there's a whole lot of that going on, and you got to keep family, friends. I see a lot of it here on YouTube. We see a lot of streams going on in the so-called manosphere or whatever, or just relationship channels, and people listen to the content, but they don't necessarily have that problem in the relationship, but they listen to the content and they generalize what a man is all about or what a woman is all about. And in some cases, that could be the situation, but a lot of people, you bring that energy into your house when you're not even having that issue. Now you got a problem because you generalize. You haven't looked at your own thing and broken it down, man. And I think that's very, very important for us to understand that it's an individual thing. It's not a cookie cutter thing where one size fits all, and this is just what women do all the time. This is what men do all the time. Well, this happened to my auntie and her relationship. This happened to my homeboy over here. So all women gonna be like that. We've got to make sure we pay attention to what's going on and concentrate on what we got going on in our household. The only outside interference that I think anyone should ever bring into a relationship, and the only beneficial interference that anyone should bring into a relationship, is that of the Most High God.
So true.
If you're gonna look, if you need some advice on something, if you need some guidance on something, then you bring him into it through his word, the Bible, and y'all sit down and discuss it together. And if you need sometimes you may need some kind of spiritual help from somebody, but open that book and be honest with yourself and with your partner, and develop your relationship on that. Because your homeboys, your homegirls, your cousins, your auntie and them, your uncle and them, your grandpa and all that, they mean well, but they're not going to have what you need because their dynamic of a relationship is different, and then that they're not dealing with your partner. And we all have different makeups and personalities and backgrounds. So we have to make sure we just keep it all in the house, man. Long-winded, but that's my rant for the day, man. I just called to chime in a little bit, man.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, you want to chime in on that, Mike, a little bit? Or you good?
Yeah, I'm gonna put my spin on it too. Like, honestly, you gotta be more closer to God. You know what I'm saying? When other people are interfering and shit, they have no business interfering.
Right.
And, you know, in that relationship between you and that other individual, and by putting them in it or giving them some kind of inclination of what to be on, you're allowing those bad vibes to fester. It's different if they're beating on you, like if they're beating the shit out of you, or they doing all kinds of other shit that's a danger in your life, then by all means. But in situations like that, the way how I had to learn, you have to go in, basically, you have to go in on experience. You have to learn from that experience, and that helps you grow. One of them I know is don't allow others to be in your relationships or in your business, because they were never in your business from the beginning nor to the end. They only see it halfway. They may be on your side because that's family. They're always going to do that. But what they're not going to tell you is, okay, what happened in between? What did you do wrong? Did you hold yourself accountable? What are y'all both doing wrong in the relationship? Most of the time, for anybody that I truly respect that is in the relationship, and they know or they see what's going on in your relationship, they would just say, hey, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to really give you any kind of advice. That's none of my business. I'm not there. I have no business there. As long as they ain't hitting you or harming you or whatever, that's something you and him got to work that out with. And if you feel that you don't really want to be with him, or you feel that some kind of inclination, then take a break and evaluate. Can you see yourself with this person long term? Because no relationship is perfect. And for somebody to say that a relationship is going to be hunky-dory all the way, not only are they lying to you, they're lying to themselves.
Facts.
Well said. Well said.
Got to take the good with the bad, just like Big Rich and fucking Stack said. You got to take the good with the bad. If you're not willing to work on that relationship and make those sacrifices, you got to not have other people in your business. And that includes family, friends, business partners, anything like that of that nature, because you don't mix those with what you have on a personal level.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, with that being said, I'm about to talk about the last video. I went through 5 videos, Rich, already. I know you late, but this one's a good one. You right on time for this one because I know you've been through some stuff in your past. And I did a video about being a prisoner in your own relationship. And I know that you have been the stepfather and stuff like that. So I'm going to run down this list and ask the panel of because I feel like these 5 things can make you a prisoner in your relationship. The first thing will be your kids, money that's tied in with you and your girl or your wife. Number 2 is caring about what people think, because a lot of times I just did a video on married people act like a certain way in a certain environment, but everything can be haywire at home. So sometimes people care about what people think. Then sometimes people have a spiritual disconnect. Sometimes a guy get away from God and a woman close. Your spiritual connection means a lot when you're in a relationship. But if you get disconnected, it can go another way. I know a young lady, her husband started, like, he went away from their whole religion and went to a different religion and tried to pull her, and then they just got divorced. It was a long story. And then last but not least, sex life could be sometimes people do a bait and switch with a sex life. Sometimes a woman will or sex changing event. I'll say that. I won't say all the time, but sometimes women can do a bait and switch. They can give you all the sex in the world, but then once they get the I do, then they slow down on the sex, or vice versa. They have a baby and they going through the different changes of their body, so they lose their sex drive. So do you feel like any of those that you experienced in your life of being a prisoner in your own relationship, that you felt like you were stuck in any of these situations, Rich?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a couple of them that you touched on there that I felt that at a time, because I don't feel now that you're a prisoner ever, because I fully admonish anybody that if it's that bad in a relationship to where you feel like a prisoner and you've done all you can to work on it, then at that point it's time to cut your losses and move on, because you have the rest of your life. Yes, marriage is supposed to be till death do us part, but if you're at a place where you're with someone that's that destructive and that abusive, and I mean abusive not in a physical sense, but also in an emotional sense or financial sense, you're going to self-destruct with them. If you see it's going that way, then you need to get out. But the biggest thing that I see with that kind of thing is, man, we talked last night about the whole sex issue. I'll take that one for example. And it's not just some women. After the I do's come along, there's going to be less sex. It's a fact. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if someone tell me that that's not the way it is, I'm going to straight up call you a liar. But see, this is why I said last night, we can't base our relationships on that, because the honeymoon phase does come to an end. It's not the woman's fault that it goes that way, But when you enter a relationship and you enter a marriage or being together for life, whatever you want to call it, the honeymoon phase is over. Now you got real life to deal with. You have the finances to deal with. You have the running of the house to deal with. You have all the nuances. You have to make sure everything is clean and orderly. You have to pay all the bills. You have to cook. You have to all these things that go into making a life together. It's going to make some of that bedroom action calm down because it's not all about the giggly feeling you get when you first meet somebody and, oh, this is great and whatever. Hey, when we first meet each other, we all into each other, and it's already cracking. But when you get into the relationship, reality sets in, and you just have to talk to one another. If that comes to be a situation to where you feel like you're being neglected emotionally or on the physical level, you need to talk to each other about that and express your feelings about that, and let that person know, let that woman know that this is what you need and this is what you want. And a woman's the same thing with a man. But we got to remember that we don't have to be trapped in that because we can talk about it. And we got to realize that as we're going to that other person and talking about it, hey, I can't blame a woman I'm with. Hey, our sexes went down. We're not having sex as much as we used to. I may have to look in the mirror at myself. Is this woman attracted to him? Am I treating her in the way that I used to treat her? Am I treating her in a disrespectful manner? Because she's not going to want to lay down with me if I'm treating her in a manner that I wasn't treating her before. If I'm being neglectful, if I'm being disrespectful, that woman, if she thinks that her man is not paying her attention, okay, maybe he's just not feeling sexually attracted to her anymore because every time he turn around, she nagging about something.
Right.
Don't nobody want to hear all that. So it may be a situation, whether it's a man or a woman, you got to look at not, okay, well, this sex is going down. I'm not, they're not giving me the physical attention I need, whatever. Be immature about it and run off and get sexual attention somewhere else. That's a childish way of thinking. And that's not honorable, and that's not correct by the standards of the Most High. You two are together. You're supposed to be your each other's sexual outlet, but at the same time, don't blame that other person and say it's a trap. And now, okay, they swindled me. Okay, you acted like we were good. We had all this sex, and now we're not having hardly any sex. You got to look at the circumstances, and you also have to look in the mirror and see if there's something that you're doing that is making the sexual relationship go to a low ebb. And at the conclusion of it, you have to communicate, man. You have to communicate with your partner and talk to them about it. Because a lot of times it's just that we get so absorbed in life that you may love the hell out of each other, but you're so absorbed in life that we forget that we have needs.
Yep.
So, long and short of it, that's just one example of what I'm talking about. There's a whole lot of other work, but that's what.
So yeah, you got Unique. Mike, I think you might have mute your phone, man.
Oh, that's not me.
Nah, it's Mike. Unique, you got anything to add on that about anything that have made you a prisoner in a relationship, or you felt like you was stuck because maybe kids, money, what other people think, the outside world think, or your family think, spiritual disconnect, or sex life went down?
No, I think I guess I felt stuck in a relationship before when a person made me feel like they needed me, and because I felt stuck in a relationship because I felt like the person, if I was to leave, the person would fall apart, and they put it in that route or in that way to make me feel like that. So I had to like kind of break that and attach. But yeah, I haven't been in a relationship with like, you know, a lack of once I get into a relationship with someone in those specific areas, you know, like sex or anything like that. But for me, it's just if a person's not holding their own and doing the things that they need to do as like a partner in the relationship, and then me feeling bad for the circumstances or the situations that they're enduring and just sticking around trying to be helpful. But in reality, knowing that that's not a relationship that's important. So I guess I felt trapped in a relationship on that level.
Okay. That makes sense. A lot of people that are narcissistic, they know how to play the victim and hold, like, if you leave me, they know how to use your emotions against you. So a lot of narcissistic people that'll be their trump card at the end to hold to hold you responsible of their victim. They playing the victim. So they basically feel like you abandoning me, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they are the person that's being the anchor that's stopping you from progressing in your life.
Yeah.
So
that's the ultimate form of manipulation right there. There's people that will actually tell you. I was in a situation at one point earlier in my life to where the young lady was, and I don't know what happened to her as of now, and I hope she got herself together, but she tried to trap me all the way up to the point to where she was telling me that if she didn't have me around, that she was going to commit suicide. And it's just an ultimate. But I found out after a long time of being with her and feeling trapped, I found out that a lot of the problems that she was having, she really didn't want help with at all.
Right.
And I believe that she was actually having some of these problems were manufactured and it was manipulation, but then a couple of the things that she was going through were legitimate, but she didn't want help. People have to want help and make that first step to help themselves, and that's just the ultimate form of manipulation when someone's just going to keep you sitting there with them, because misery loves company at the end of the day. So you're not the only one, darling. Men go through it too. You know, it's just that's like Stack said, that's a narcissistic personality trait, and both genders have them. And yeah, I've been through that, like I say, to the point where she was threatening to commit suicide. At the point I realized to stand with her, I was slowly killing myself.
Exactly.
So I had to get gone. You know,
that's crazy. That's some real shit right there.
Anything you had on that list, Mike, that you felt like you was a prisoner in a relationship? I know you touched on the love you have for your kids. Have kids ever kept you in a relationship, Mike?
Kids at one point kept me in a relationship. They still have, but it's just a relationship between me and them, not between me and their mother. As far as the mother, she's pretty much dead to me. Like, she's just a ghost. That's how I gotta think of them, because you don't want to bring or pull yourself back into that negative energy realm that they happen to sit in. You want to think positive and just say, hey, look, I'm doing what I got to do as a man. I'm making sure I'm taking care of my kids, and that's it. I'm moving forward for myself and for them, for their future, for their being, their well-being, and everything like that. Other people don't get that concept. But when you see that nothing's changed at all with those kind of individuals, you have to be the bigger and the better person to make those positive changes in your life, because whatever you're doing is going to directly affect them. And when and it gets so crazy to a point to where the kids will see it. They'll see, hey, you know, Dad's changing. He's doing pretty well for himself. Don't you think so, Mommy? Then they just look at him like, damn, you noticing them, but you don't notice him. You notice him, you don't notice me. It happens like that. Because when you try to better yourself, when you better yourself and you move forward, nothing can stop you. The only thing that's actually holding us all back right now in life is ourselves, nothing else.
Facts.
If you look at it, that's how you got to look at it. You could be holding yourself back and not even know it. But when you realize it and you act on it and you make a change, some shit that happened in your life, regardless, anything bad, But what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take it laying down, or are you going to get off your ass and make it happen? That's what it's all about. That's what makes you the bigger person, and that's what makes you unstoppable.
That's a fact right there, Mike. That's a big fact, brother. I had a similar situation before my divorce with my wife, to whereas I grew up, my mother and father they divorced when I was 10 years old. And that was one of my biggest fears, that I didn't want my children to grow up in a broken relationship, in a broken household. But it got to the point where after a while, I had to let that go for the simple fact that people feel trapped. They don't want to leave their kids behind. You know, it's not that men run off a lot of times, but it got to a point where the problems between me and my wife were irreconcilable at that point, to whereas I would be a better example to my children being away from the situation and just being a father and staying in their life, because I felt that if I'm here with this woman in this household, they're going to see a very bad example about how a man's going to treat a woman, because I was at the point half the time where I wanted to break her neck with the scandalous, immoral bull that she was pulling on me. It would have turned out bad. So rather than have those children see me disrespecting their mother, because, you know, children don't understand the full dynamic of what's going on. They weren't seeing the things that she was doing to me, you know, with her infidelity and whatnot, because that wasn't in their face. All they would see is me talking bad to her, cursing her out, you know, and they would just think that, hey, well, daddy just being disrespectful, daddy treat mom like a dog or whatever. So I couldn't take myself there being trapped. I had to bail and get out of there so I could better myself as a person, and so that they could see a different side of me. Right. And all those sacrifices not being in the household with them, I couldn't keep myself trapped in that relationship and then have them look at me with a negative light the whole while they're growing up. We may have never had a good relationship. Now we have a pretty decent relationship, all of us. But my daughters can't stand me because they still say I'm too strict and whatever. And daddy don't want us to do this. Daddy don't want us to do that. And my oldest one is 32 and my youngest was 27. But you know they still feel daddy's a little too strict. But we have a good relationship now because they know it's out of love. Yeah. I can't imagine how they would have felt about me or how they would look at me right now if I had stayed in that household and they saw me treating their mother in a disrespectful manner. So I advise anybody that's one of them things. If you're in a bad relationship like that with it, it's best that you go ahead and cut your losses and get on out of it. Because it's going to be destructive for everybody. And you're not only just hurting yourself, you're hurting everyone else around you.
Facts. I mean,
facts, real stuff right there.
That's big facts. Thing about me, I on this list, I stayed before because the kids. The money thing, I really didn't stay because of that. I want to fix things money wise when I was married, but I have. The spiritual disconnect has happened before because we didn't leave it all to God. And I felt like we was on two different levels when we was supposed to be spiritually connected. So I definitely didn't experience a different spiritual connection. And also I definitely experienced, and that was one on my side, she cared about what people think. Because she used to tell me, my ex told me before, she wear a mask for her family, her friends, her co-workers, and for me. I'm like, damn, where are you yourself? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people, like a lot of women want to see, you know, a lot of women want to be in these relationships and go through the wedding and all that. And I always say a wedding is nothing like, it's just like going to a car dealership. You go to a car dealership, the cars are on the showroom floor, which is the wedding. It's all spotless, everything sparkling clean. But until you invest and buy that car and drive off with the lot with that car, how are you going to make this an antique moving forward? Because there's some man that bought that car from day one and it was what they wanted. They could have got any car on the lot, but they picked that car, and now it's an antique in their garage. But during the years with that car, they washed it, it broke down on them, but they didn't give up on that antique. And that's how you got to look at being with a wife or being with a woman. That wedding day is just a day. And a lot of times women sometimes make the most of that day because it's a good thing to make the most of it, but it's not the end all be all. The work starts when you leave the showroom floor. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people don't understand to make an antique or be something, be dedicated to something is always you. I've never used that car analogy pretty much on my YouTube channel, but tonight I did. It's a lot of older men right now got a car from 40, 30, 40, 50 years ago in the garage, and at the same time next to their rocket chair they got their wife too, because the same mentality they had about that car that's a classic is the same thing they had that next to their rocket chair their wife that's a classic to them as well. And a lot of times if people need to look at it as that, because at the end of the day, over years, when you have something for so long, it takes maintenance. It doesn't stay good in good shape over time. You gotta, if you want to keep something looking right, you have to work on it. And that's why I always tell you guys, plan, purpose, program. It's you versus you, because you can't be the best you until you see the you in yourself and be the best and put it all to God and love yourself, because self-love is the best love before you love anybody else.
That's heavy, Stat. That's heavy right there, man. That's why I rock with you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Well, shit, fucking right. So true.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that the caring about what people think and the disconnect and the sex life, of course, when she had the baby, when she had my son, that went down a little bit, but at the same time, maturity only helps you understand that when you're in a relationship that, and then now I'm be 40 in July. So for me, I can't even have sex every day. I'm not gonna lie. so you know, but I heard women, they sexuality go up and they at upper age compared to men. But like we said before, like yesterday, Big Rich, if we're not literally like connected, then sex don't even matter anyway for a man. The real man, the simps out here, they always gonna put a woman on a pedestal and be hound dogs. But once you become a man and you know your sexuality as a man, you protect your energy, just like D. Flim always say, and your energy is what you give to a woman. So
absolutely, brother, absolutely. I mean, it's not a priority of life. It's something that enhances the relationship, but it's not the end all be all to that relationship. And anybody that puts it as a priority and puts it not as a, because you see, it should be a priority. It should be part of a healthy relationship. But if you put it at the highest priority, that means that you're lacking in a whole lot of other areas. You're a very, very shallow person that don't have anything going on. And that is not the healthiest person to be in a relationship.
Facts.
And the motherfuckers need to stay single, real shit. They need to stay single, and that's it. No kids, no nothing. They don't need none of that.
Right. You want to be a freak, go ahead and freak off, but don't ruin somebody else's life playing around.
Facts.
Go play with yourself.
Facts. You got anything to add though, Unique, that you want to add to anything I said, or?
No, I really enjoy being in y'all presence, and having a conversation, because it is deep, you know.
Yeah, and
it helps.
And this is what we do over here. I thank you for calling for the first time. And people that's watching on the other stream, we on Stack 44 on YouTube. If you ever want to go ahead and join the conversation, you can go in and you can call the number that's in the description or in the chat. And we have these deep conversations about relationships and building and just trying to work between men and women to become better. A lot of times we get the women to be a little shy to call in, but Unique called in tonight. So she's a newcomer. So hopefully we get some more newcomers in the future. I'm going to skip tomorrow, but I'll be back Saturday. And I'm gonna start naming Saturday. I'm going to start doing Saturdays. I'm going to name Saturday Self-Improvement Saturday. So we're going to talk about more self-improvement, things that we can do to self-improve ourselves to be more appealing to our own, just appealing to the world, period, you know, because everything goes in with self-improvement. Because the only competition you won't have in a relationship is seeing who can make each other happy the most. That's really the only thing you want to have. And being self-improving, being the best version of yourself, and finding somebody the best version of yourself will build legacy, build a lot of things moving forward. So make sure if you haven't subscribed to Stack 44, jump into my inbox or go to YouTube, Stack 44, subscribe. And the live streams, we're going to do one on Saturday, Self-Improvement Saturday, and Stack Attack Sunday. So, you know, I know I gave y'all a little 3 days in a row, you know, good old videos, but, you know, I'm about to be back to work on the 28th, so I'm going to just do the weekends from now on, guys. So, but, you know, it was good to have 3 live streams in a row. I know Mike came through, Big Rich, China came through yesterday, and we got the newcomer, Unique. Unique, don't be shy to call. You can call in whenever you want to when we have the live streams. We don't mind. We love female company, don't we, Mike? Mike.
Hey, it's been a vacation with you, man. We took the vacation with you, and it's been good chopping it with y'all, brothers. And Unique, I gotta say, darling, you lived up to your namesake, because you gave us definitely a unique perspective into how a woman thinks about things and whatnot. And it's not going to be like that's cookie cutter, and that's not every woman, but we appreciate it hearing your unique perspective on it, and it was a pleasure having you on here.
Thank you.
So Mike, I love kicking it with you, brother, and Stack. Y'all be good, man. Have yourself a good night, man. I'm about to get on out of here, man. I'll holler.
All right, then, Rich. Right. You got anything to say, Mike, before you get off?
Yeah, man. You know, once again, you know, Big Rich, thank you for joining, man. Stacks, man, love your show. Man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep constantly pushing on. And Unique, man, I love you, honey. You're doing real good. Keep that positive energy up. Try to show the sisters out here what the real deal is, instead of that fake shit, how they be trying to teach on TV and on the radio and all that other crap. Keep doing what you're doing. Spread that positive energy. Spread the message, man. Spread the word. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop. Stacks, keep doing your thing, bro. Love y'all. Keep spreading the positive energy. Keep doing what y'all doing, man. I'm out of here.
All right. Anything you want to say, Unique?
No, you know, I thank you so much for this opportunity, you know. Talk with y'all have real conversation, and to speak with some men that got it together, you know. I appreciate that, and I'm honored to be in your presence. So thank you for hearing me too.
So do a favor for me. You got homegirls, share this video, share this live stream, because you was on it. You heard they can hear, you know, because there's always a playback. So tomorrow there'll be a playback on this live stream. So just share it with people that you feel like-minded men, like-minded women that actually can receive the message and understand the message. Because sometimes as a man perspective, we give our man point of view, and then we ask for women to call in. You called in tonight. My girl China White calls in as well. So we give is a space where men and women can intertwine, so we could get this relationship thing back on track. Because at one point, the black man and the black woman was the most married in the United States of America, and we want to get back onto that track. And the only way we can do that is have spaces like this, when people believe in each other and understand what other people need as a man and as a woman, to replenish ourselves, to be the best version of ourselves, to be and build in better relationships. So thank you for calling. I appreciate you for calling in, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. And like I said, share it, and then we'll be back Saturday for Self-Improvement Saturdays.
All right, for sure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, guys, that was a good call. Long show. I know I started off and we got little internet interruptions, but at the end of the day, it was a great show. I appreciate everybody that came in, all the new subscribers, all the thumbs up. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share these videos, because we're in 2021. We're trying to repair just ourselves, period, because 2020, everybody should saw 2020 vision within their self of all the bad things that happened in a year and realize that nothing's a guarantee in life if you can see it clearly with 2020. 2020 should give you the vision to understand that ain't nothing guaranteed. So we got to make sure that we do well moving forward and think like-minded. It's not over for us if we're willing to put in the work and willing to learn and love each other and feed off one another. So with that being said, guys, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, and I'll holler at you guys on Saturday. We're going to go on about 6 o'clock Saturday, about 5:36 on Saturday. So if you want to call in, make sure you look for the call-in number. It'll be in the chat, and I'll holler at you guys next week. All right. I mean, well, Saturday, not next week, Saturday. I'm so used to saying next week. It's crazy, but I'll holler at you guys Saturday. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye.